Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Freaky Fast Broadcasting on your Monday night. Tonight, we give you the coverage of the Trinity Racing League presented by Larry Arts Production. This is the first season of the Trinity Racing League, and tonight we get to have another first. It's the first road course that this league has ever ran, and they're testing the skills out on one of the harder ones. Tonight is the Larry Arts Production Chicago Grand Prix, as we get to test the skills of the Xfinity vehicles here at Chicago Street Course. A 12-corner course that's going to have a lot of 90-degree corners, but drivers have been trying to find out how to maximize their speed. There's two favorites that have already emerged based off how practice has been going, but the rest of the field still searching on trying to find that speed. We're excited to give you all the coverage here on Freaky Fast Broadcasting. My name is Sam Dyer. Joining me is Zach Hall. And Zach, like I said, we've got two drivers that have already emerged as the front runners to win here tonight. But the rest of the field, they're still very close on time. I think the rest of the field's going to give us the best racing maybe to watch. But those front runners, they might be having to deal with a little bit of lap traffic throughout this race.
That will be a fun portion once we get to that for sure. But yeah, I think we got quite a event on our hands here. So far, about 29 guys signed up so far for this race. And this Chicago street course, I tell you, you look at the layout. That's the one thing I've always remembered about this track. I looked at the layout when they first announced it, and I was like, man, it just doesn't look very inspiring, for a racetrack. Just very bland, just the way the straightaways and everything looks, you just wouldn't think it works very well. But I tell you what, if you haven't ran laps around here, this place has a ton of character, and that's really the street aspect of things, because these are real street roads. I mean, there is so much up and down elevation bumps and just crazy things around this track, Sam, that these drivers are going to tackle tonight. And I think we're going to get to see all types of things play out here throughout this field.
Yeah, and what makes this course even more difficult, like we said, it's a street course. You see the walls. There is no margin of mistakes that you can have. The biggest mistake that you could survive from is, oh, I brake too early and I'm going too slow through this corner. That's the biggest thing you could survive from. If you go too fast, you lock up your brakes, your night can be done in just the first lap alone if you make a simple mistake, as drivers are going around this 12-corner course. And like you said, this track does look quite basic. There's a lot of 90-degree corners that these drivers have to deal with, and this is going to be a tough one. But the driver of note, Vincent Sora, entering tonight with 3 wins out of the first 5 races of the season. He might be going for 4 out of 6 if he can get it done here tonight, as he's top of the board currently here for practice.
Yeah, he is going to be quite the handful, I think, here tonight. We, of course, have Gavin Rogers. I think those two so far, especially with the way lap times have played out, I mean, both of those drivers about 6/10 clear of the field, and then Vinny another 2/10 clear of that from Gavin. So they are stretched their legs, so to say, on the rest of the field here. And yeah, they're gonna probably be the ones that are looking to be the quickest tonight and battle for the win. But this car here, this Xfinity car, is one of the things that brings out the old school iRacing effect of, you can run those really, really fast qualifying times in these cars, but if you cannot keep the rear tires underneath you, you're going to see a lot of guys struggling. I tell you, I got some laps in myself today just to get my feel for this and really get to know what these drivers are experiencing. The rear tires are going to quickly fade away from these cars as these runs go, so it's going to take a very delicate right foot to make things happen.
Which is so different when you look at the way that we've seen other vehicles that we've called here on Freaky Fast Broadcasting. The majority of our road course racing that we've called has been in the next-gen vehicle cup car, which has had a lot of changes recently. It just got the updates to where there's now tire wear, but for the longest time, a lot of drivers got used to the more heat that you build into the tire, the faster the car will go throughout a run. With that change of now having to protect your tires on a track that everyone's going to be so compact on, that's going to be a hard task to try to multitask with, of trying to be quick while saving your equipment throughout a run. I know a lot of drivers, the one thing that they've been trying to take of, well, I know we're seeing fast times from Vincent Soar, Gavin Rogers. They're almost a full second faster than the majority of the field. Almost the whole entire field is at least over a second behind those two drivers. But the big thing for Gavin and for Vinny is they look quick, but the rest of the field's saying, well, maybe they won't keep up that time for qualifying. Maybe they can make a mistake there That's the one positive you could try to take away is there is a chance of mistakes for qualifying with this being such a close quartered. No mistakes can be made during qualifying run. Some drivers might shock us on how deep in the field they are. 29 drivers registered for this race. That is a quite a big field, as we have almost over 10 drivers opting out from racing here tonight with a provisional. Those drivers being Noah Steele, Isaac Reimer, Danny Cochran, Nolan Hicks, Dakota Moniz, Ryan Kelly, Justin Smith, Cody Smith, Chris Stitz, Martin Morales, and just adding in here in the last couple of minutes, Isaac Shelley. All have opted out, going for provisional points. So they're going to get last place points after today's race is over. Just showing how difficult this track is going to be as we enter into qualifying, and these drivers will have 10 minutes of qualifying to try to put down their fastest lap. They'll have 2 laps to do so. You hit the wall, you spin out, your time is invalidated. It will not count. So drivers have to make sure they are on the money and they keep it clean. But Zach, the fact that there's so many drivers missing out, that is going to help some drivers in the points, but obviously just proving how difficult tonight could be.
It's going to definitely prove tonight to be difficult. I mean, like you said, so many drivers taking the provisional and, getting the points that they can from this. But this is an important time right here. We're watching this qualifying effort. This is right here, Vincent Sora, of course, in the 15 machine, our driver who's really been on such a hot streak this season. Just started off really, I think, as being the favorite almost week in and week out, and probably going to continue here tonight. But we'll see what this qualifying lap can start, because he's really been very quick in the session, but I've also seen mistakes where he overdoes it a little bit in wrecks, and that's the key here. In qualifying, you can easily overstep something just trying to go for a little bit more, so nothing is guaranteed here, especially at a street course.
And we talk about street course racing, short tracks, both heavily intertwined with finding your rhythm, finding your own pace. And it feels like at times, if you get too comfortable, like you said, sometimes you go over that margin. But Zach, here for qualifying, I'm curious on your thoughts on the weather. I know you said that you took a little bit of time in trying to practice, get used to this track. How do you feel like weather might be influencing this race? Because during practice, the highest it was at 105 degrees track temp. It's now dropped to 92 Fahrenheit for the track temp. I feel like that might be helping drivers here for qualifying as Vincent Sora's first lap is underway.
I think we're going to see actually some pickup in time from a lot of guys. I wouldn't be surprised if you see more jump into the low 30s, maybe into the 29s, and maybe we might see a 28. I know that a 127 with some of the open setups is very possible around this track here in iRacing, but of course these guys on fixed, definitely not as quick as one of those setups. So putting a 128, 129, I think will be something good, but any little bit of track temperature you can take out of this track, you gain more rear grip. You gain that stability to carry that 1 to 2 mile an hour extra speed around these apexes, and it also can aid in the tire wear. So we'll see as the day transitions on in this session that the tire, it will cool off, and maybe those times as they get newer tires late in the race during a pit stop, you might see a very fast time later.
As we're getting through turn 7 here for Vincent Sora, going to be going to the more unique portion of the track. This is going to be the Congress Plaza Drive. This wide, sweeping left-hander to a quick right kink to McDonald's straightaway into turn 11 is going to be the 15. Again, this is lap 1. This is where you're hoping to maximize your speed. Both the 75 and the 15 are out on track. Vincent Sora's lap will be the first one to cross the line. Gavin Rogers will be a few seconds after the fact, so we'll see where Vincent Sora pace sets here. Will he find any extra pace, or will he just call it a one-lapper as across the line? Vincent Sora and others, it's a 1 minute 30.162 for Vincent Sora to start the qualifying here tonight. And for Gavin Rogers, it's a slower time and an invalidated time, a 133.1 for Gavin Rogers. He's got to attempt for lap number 2.
It'll be interesting to see what the pickup is like for lap 2. I think some drivers will find the stability of the rear come a little bit more alive as you get a little bit of heat build up. That second lap tends to be sometimes the most grip you're going to get during this run. So we'll see what that pickup is, but you see Gavin there, nice little slide into that corner, and that's what you're going to see under qualifying here. These drivers really push these rear ends, push everything to do, what this car doesn't want to do, and go fast around this street course. So it is going to be a little bit of a sliding action going on, and I think when you get in the race, you're going to have to clean that up, though, if you want those tires to last.
Cody Reed going to be the second fastest driver out on track. Ali Fonseca, third fastest. Both drivers over a second behind Vincent Sora. Gavin Rogers, we're looking at his time to beat a 1 minute 30.1 is the time. Rogers going through turns 8, 9, coming through the exit of turn 10 to set up turn 11. Here, the last two corners. Hard on the brakes, try and keep it loose, but a little bit of a slide for the 75. He's maximizing everything that's left underneath these tires. Vincent Sora is about to finish his second lap time for himself, but for Gavin Rogers, the first lap was invalidated. Does he have a little bit of extra here for lap number 2? His final lap for qualifying. Will it stick for pole? No, it won't. A 1 minute 30.3. It's good enough for second, but not for the gonna be the pole. Your blazing fast TV pole sitter currently sits to be Vincent Sora in the 15.
Wow, that's so close between those two up front, and great lap from both Jarrett Talmadge and Jackson Anderson to put himself up in the 4th. Those two both in the 130, so able to keep it within a second of those leaders ahead is something I think anybody will be happy tonight with, as we're watching Cedric Hunter here come through that bumpy complex there. And this is always a fun part of the track here, just to kind of sim the car, so to say, and especially here in qualifying where you're going to do things a little bit more drastic than you would during the race, not willing to risk your race in just one corner.
Cedric Hunter over the radio during practice even was saying he feels slow. And this Hello Kitty machine just going to try to survive here tonight as across the line for Cedric Hunter. Just getting a little bit of practice in, but that lap will be good enough for 7th on the board. A 1 minute 31.697. Good enough to stay ahead of Ryan Bird. Here's the 3 of Thomas Green. As Thomas Green, we've seen Vincent Sora top of the board, hoping to find similar pace or at least something close to a top 5 run is what this 3 machine is searching for. A couple of other drivers of note that are still waiting to put down a time. Larry Yingling in the 67. He was 3rd fastest during practice. Curious if he can find the quick enough pace to maybe move up into 3rd place on the board or even steal a 2nd position. As the 3 going to be seeing Thomas Green. That was a 1 minute 30.8. Only problem, it was an invalidated lap time. He scrubbed the wall at some point, so that lap did not count. This is his final lap here for qualifying.
See what this lap can equate to is you come down here, high speed braking over the bumps, and just for a second straighten out before you turn right back into another right-hander down this long straightaway. And this is one of the longest straightaways you're going to have all race long. So this is where you'll see some passes, if anything, here later tonight here, if you're going to set somebody up.
Hard braking zone on the backstretch into turn number 6. That's going to be another spot to watch out for if drivers lock up their brakes. That tire wall is really can mess up your night. Hard braking over the bridge. The 3 very much losing the rear end. And now setting up for the circle around the plaza as 8, 9, 10 are the corners here for the 3 machine. And trying to stay off the wall but maximize as much carry speed as you can is the goal around turn 11. Thomas Green, just one more corner to go, hoping for this lap to count for himself. A few drivers deciding not to put down a time. Samuel S. Garcia, both laps were invalidated. He will start at the end of the line. Ryan Ferraro as well as Gary Wells attempting their times. But for Thomas Green, last driver to put down a qualifying attempt with 2 minutes left in qualifying. The 3, not too quick for the pole, but good enough for a top 10. 6th on the board for the 3 machine of Thomas Green. Good time for himself as across the line for the 44, Mark Labertone. He will be 20th fastest with a 1 minute 33.899 for his time. Driver sitting in pit road. This is going to be Gary Wells. Not expecting to see Gary really take off. His first lap got invalidated with a spin for himself as Larry Yingling continues his pacing around. His lap got invalidated for lap number 2, but it's 7th fastest for Yingling, who again was 3rd fastest when we looked at practice times. See if there's any pickup during the race conditions, which Zach, qualifying so different from race conditions. Everyone's going to be on top of one another. There is expected to be no full course caution thrown unless there is a full track blockage where everyone is stopped and they need a caution to give each other time to get out of that wreck. Do you feel like we're going to need a full course yellow, or do you feel like this group of drivers could try to survive those early laps where the most carnage could happen?
I think we'll be able to make it through. It's always a big if in racing for sure, but I think we have enough good drivers here to really figure it out and kind of get separated out because again, we see some of the other cars like the next gen, the truck's car or the truck is they kind of don't have that fall off in the tires like we see with these Xfinity cars. And I think you're going to see guys be a little bit more methodical because of that reason, and maybe just be willing to give up a spot here and there, just knowing, hey, I'm saving my rear a little better, and this guy at some point will make a mistake, and I'll be able to get through and start charging forward. So it's tough because track position is everything on a street course, but at the same time, you got to have give and take if you're going to be able to make all these stock cars fit around this track.
We'll see how much give there is in the early going. We still have the warm-up right after qualifying, as we want to say congratulations to Vincent Sora. He broke the streak of having drivers at multiple different tracks that we were having, of having a different winner at 4 races ran this season before we had our first driver to have 2 wins. Well, he'll be the first driver to have 2 poles this season at race 6. The streak is broken. Your Blazing Fast TV Pole Sitter Award winner is Vincent Sora. Go check out Blazing Fast TV on Twitch and YouTube to see the point of view of Dakota Moniz and to see how he races around all the tracks ran, as well as check out Blazing Fast TV on YouTube and Twitch to see Dakota playing other video games that he also enjoys. Thank you so much to Blazing Fast TV for giving your Blazing Fast TV award, Pole Sitter Award, to Vincent Sora. As we're entering into our 5-minute warm-up period, it gives drivers a last bit of practice before we get to our 50-lap featured race here tonight. It also gives us time to take a look at how the season's been so far. We're first going to take a look at our point standings and see where drivers are lining up here. We are right in the middle of the regular season, and drivers are starting to get a little bit more of a sensible feeling of where they stand in the points. Some have the journey of we still need to make a huge push to try to make it into the top 16. Others are just trying to solidify their spot. But Zach, it's Vincent Sora top of the board with no surprise there. But the cutoff line is where things seem a little bit more dramatic, as we've got Isaac Shelley, who's taking a provisional here tonight. He is at that cutoff line with Ryan Bird right behind him.
Yeah, this is a very important time right now because we've talked about it before. This season, we'll look at the schedule, of course, but this season is quickly rolling into where the cutoff line will be in effect. So Ryan Bird, someone who's a good road course racer, I think needs to have a good night. Same for the likes of like Thomas Crean back in 24th. He needs to get his season rolling in the right way. We know he can be a title contender back here in 24th. Christopher Norris, he's a good little road course racer. Maybe in 25th could gain some points. So, even a Fonseca down here in 30th. There's a lot of names back here that need to start the ball rolling in the right way because it's going to quickly be too late to get something done if not.
And the driver's going to be starting second here tonight. Gavin Rogers, he started the season just 2 races ago. He's only back in 41st position. He has yet to have a top 5 finish this season, and he needs to finish in the top 5 practically every race from here on out if he wants to make the top 16. As we move from our standings, we'll move over to the schedule, which the schedule here tonight, we were just notified, has been changed. It was supposed to be 17 races, with the first 3 being Speed Week, with the Clash, as well as having the heats for race 1 and 2 of the season. Race 3 was our first official race of the season. But we actually are going to be not heading to Michigan next. We're actually heading to Nashville Super Speedway before we head to Michigan. I know a lot of drivers are excited for heading to a concrete course. We've also gotten an update on Martinsville, the track replacing Martinsville, Zach, Dover, another concrete course. So the drivers that like concrete, we've got 2 right in front of us.
That they do, yeah. Those drivers are like, wow, man, perfect timing for me. So, yeah, that is cool to see. National Super Speedway and these cars should be good at least. I think some tire wear should definitely be in effect. And then, of course, then we'll head to Michigan and then, of course, Dover. That's replacing Martinsville. So I think we got a good little end into the season, Sam, for sure, for this regular season at least.
We certainly do, as we usually have our pick'ems here. This is our segment where we usually pick the drivers we feel like are going to win. Well, there's 2 drivers on the line that we know are going to be winning this thing. It's either Gavin Rogers or Vincent Sora. So instead of pick'ems of who we feel like is going to win, we're going with drivers that we feel like are those to watch out for here tonight. And I'm going to go with the 24 of Ollie Fonseca. Surprisingly, has found some really good speed here tonight. Comes rolling into this race with a lot of confidence. This 24 from God Monster Motorsports, watch out on trying to go for a top 5 here tonight. Zach, Who is your driver that you feel like is one to watch out for this evening besides our top two?
Yeah, I have a feeling that those top two might be in a battle of their own, but I think a driver to watch out for tonight is going to be that 38 of Christopher Norris. Very, very talented in these road courses. In the ISRC, he's done well. I've seen him in Xfinity Series with this car do very, very well before. And, starting a little farther back here tonight, but watch him. He could be one that, by the end of this thing, is in the top 10 and maybe in the top 5.
Well, we are the voices, myself, Sam, and Zach. Well, the man who pushes all the buttons in the background, that's Robert Moyer Jr., and he's going with a driver who feels slow during qualifying, but when it comes to race time, he just finds wicked pace to finish up front. Cedric Hunter is going to be Robert Moyer Jr.'s pick, our producer here at Freaky Fast Broadcasting. Zach, I mean, Cedric's an interesting one to go with the lack of confidence that I feel like he's rolling into this race. I'm excited to see if maybe it changes throughout this 50-lap run of him finding the speed here tonight.
I tell you, I was very impressed with his qualifying. I think he was thoroughly probably happy with it too. And I like that pick from Robert because he actually usually gets better in the race. So if he's qualifying ninth, we could see him go up the ladder. I mean, you never know. By the end of this thing could be very, very strong.
He certainly could be. We've got some emerging drivers that are returning. Jackson Anderson in the 08. He's another driver to watch out for. And debut race for a driver who registered in today. James Watson, 39, will be starting his first Trinity Racing League race here this evening. Tough track to start your race off, but we'll see how it changes up as we get ready to take a look at our Orchid Ink Tattoo Studios starting grid here tonight. Congratulations once again to Vincent Sora for grabbing your Blazing Fast TV Poll Award. To his outside, we find Gavin Rogers in second place. Those are going to be the two head honchos. If they make a mistake, it could be the next two in line. Third, going to be Jarrett Talmadge with the 08 of Jackson Anderson. Then we find Cody Reed in the 88, another driver who's known for being good at road courses, qualifies fifth here tonight with Thomas Green in sixth. Larry Yingling will be back in seventh with Ali Fonseca in eighth. Robert's pick going to be Cedric Hunter in ninth, and finishing out our top 10, a driver who's just outside of the top 16 in points, Ryan Bird in the 49. It could place himself inside of the top 16 with a good run this evening.
Starting in 11th, it's our Homestead winner of Justin T. Campbell. Alongside him in that row, it's going to be the one car of Joshua Stovall in 12th. 13th is the 22 of Ethan Delaire with my pick tonight here, and 14th of Christopher Norris. 15th is going to be the 01 of Aaron Krolick with Michael Miller starting alongside him in 16th. Debut race, like Sam said here, for James Watson back here in 17th with Joshua Kanan in the 16th starting alongside him in 18th. 19th is going to be Maurice Gomillion, and rounding out the top 20, it's going to be Mark Laberton.
Mark Laberton, a great qualifying time for himself, being inside of the top 20. Outside of the top 20, starting in 21st, is the 00 of Ethan Smith, who I talked to Ethan. He had a little bit more confidence entering tonight, but not the qualifying time he was hoping for. Ben Kinney will be the last driver to put a qualifying time in 22nd position for the 51, with Samuel S. Garcia in 23rd, Austin Halsey in 24th, Stephen Clapp in 25th. 26th is going to be Patrick Hernandez, who's making back a return. The 27th position is going to be Ryan Ferraro in that 10 machine, with Gary Wells in 28th. And finishing out our 29 drivers registered up for tonight, it's Travis Downing in the 43. 29 drivers starting here this evening. They're about to take off from the starting grid. Tonight's race is going to be 50 laps in total. Some of the bonus points you can grab: lead a lap, lead the most laps, but also leading at the halfway. A driver that's leading at the end of lap 25 will get an extra bonus point. But these drivers were given note they also will have no fast repair, 4 extra sets of tires in pit road, fuel windows around 30, could go a little bit further than that. 30 laps here tonight, expecting this race to be a one stop. But the one part we haven't talked about yet, Zach, incident limit. There is a incident limit. Every 15 incident points you grab, you have to serve a drive-through penalty. That could be critical here tonight if we see some massive wrecks here early on.
That's for sure. And, most of the time we're talking about off tracks when we talk about those incident points building up at a road course. It's going to be coming from contact tonight, either from your competition or a outside barrier. So those things can pile up very quickly. So drivers are going to have to stay on top of that. If you gather, say a quick 8 here at the beginning, just with 4 X's out of your own doing, you're going to have to be very, very careful not to let something else pop up and get involved in. So drivers are going to have to think about that. Not only that, but their rear tires, and they're just staying out of these walls. I mean, what a tall task they got here tonight.
You know, we talk about the top two and how quick they are. Crazy stats between Vincent Sora and Gavin Rogers. For Vincent Sora, based off of his career of racing next gens, Gen 6, as well as trucks, he's ran 33 road courses in his career of all the league races that have been on Sim Racer Hub. His average start, a 3.4. Average finish, a 3.2. Out of those 33 starts, he has 13 wins. Gavin Rogers' stats are even more crazy. They've all been in the next-gen vehicle, but Gavin Rogers' average start is a 1.2. His average finish, a 2.6. He's won 10 out of his 17 road course races that he's ran that have been documented on Sim Racer Hub. Those are dominant stats to watch out for. But with a track like Chicago Street Course, there's always a chance and a rumble of someone making just a simple mistake that could throw your race upside down. This evening, it's going to be 50 laps in total. The halfway marker again at end of lap 25. Bonus point can be grabbed there. But up front, 29 drivers have gridded up. 29 have decided to start with the field. No one starts from pit road. They've got a feeling that this race is going to be important at the start. The question is, who can survive these early corners? This whole first 2 laps going to be critical. Can we space out cleanly, or are we going to be running in the wall and causing a log jam? Let's find out. Pace car into pit road. We're about to enter the restart zone. It's your Larry Art Productions Chicago Grand Prix. Vincent Sora, Gavin Rogers riding side by side, drag racing into turn number 1. Both trying to outbreak one another side by side through turn 1. It's Vincent Sora just by a nose, but trouble already in the entry of turn 1 as the front leaders try to pull away. Others are having massive trouble further on back, but up front, Zach, it's still a track race heading into turn number 3.
That they are. They're battling up front, but it was Ryan Bird and Ali Fonseca that were in the wall. They lost major spots here, but here goes Rogers down the inside, and this is going to be the preferred spot. This is going to be close here to the sector. He's going to have to back out of it.
Backs out, gives the space, and there was a chance of danger striking there. Luckily, no one going to be making contact between the front 2. Everyone else further on back trying to avoid that McDonald's wall where everyone's going to be brushing against. Here's another tight, hard-braking left-hander, 90 degrees in a corner that you have to figure out to slow down for. And Sora with the advantage. Rogers, though, still run on that back bumper. Almost contact into turn number 7. But they survive now heading into the plaza. The quick, long, sweeping left-hander. Drivers trying to stay as close to the wall as possible to try to help their exit out of turn number 10. Enter into turn number 11 here. Sora looks good. Rest of the field starting to get spaced out. Austin Halsey with the big loss of time. Ali Fonseca, Ryan Bird, they're both trying to continue to race on as well as they can. But lap number 1, exit at turn number 12. It's Vincent Sora leading the way. But already, Zach, lap 1, starting to see a little bit of wheel spin on those rear ends. That's a sign to watch out here in the next few laps.
Oh, for sure. This is where it is going to come down to who can really manage their stuff, but also go fast. That is always the big age-old task that faces these drivers each and every week they're out here. But right now, this road course more than ever. But Thomas Green looking to make a move maybe on his teammate, not his teammate in this series, but teammate from other series here, make a move on Jarrett Talmadge down into this move, but he just couldn't make it stick there, had to back out of it. So Green doing a good job already up from where he started one spot and putting pressure on that 27.
Yeah, no, it's kind of crazy to say Jarrett Talmadge not teammates with Thomas Green. They've been teammates in every series we've called watching these two drivers race. This is the first time they've ever decided to split up and kind of have their own racing teams to work with. Thomas Green sticking with Danny Cochran, Vincent Sora. They teamed up with Jacob Morris. While that 27 machine went off to tag along with Larson Line Racing with Aaron Kralik, Dakota Moniz, Ryan Ferraro, and Jarrett Talmadge kind of being the head honcho of that team and trying to prove that he can be the main driver of a team, not just having to follow the rest of the crew. That kind of felt like he was doing there when teaming up with Vincent Sora, Danny Cochran, and Jarrett Talmadge.
Definitely a change of pace. A little bit of a lockup there. That's a little bit of a mistake, I think, right ahead of center Hunter. I think it was Ethan Dallaire who was able to, big lockup going to the inside of center corner. Luckily, the 13 gave him plenty of room, and he did a good job of keeping it to the inside and still made that pass, even though locking up both front tires.
That big lockup not going to help in the long run, but obviously for Cedric Hunter, big heads-up move to just give space and let that 22 figure out his own pacing that he wants to go for here early on. Just 3 laps in, and Zach, this early portion so critical that you want to minimize those mistakes, but this is the time, if you're going to make mistakes, you can rebound from as much as you can. But looking at the drivers so far, no one dealing with any black flags. No one's out of this race, but Austin Halsey, big loss of time. Travis Downing further on back, and our top 3 just cruising away. As you look at the rest of the field, they're all running about 133 second times or longer. Our front 2, 130s. They're about 30 seconds faster than most of the field here in the early goings in these first couple of laps.
And it's wild to see, you know, the first lap's really clean here, green for these guys, much slower than what they qualified. That just tells me everybody has backed it down just that little bit more to find that little bit of edge or room. But it's going to be a tall task to stay out of these barriers, even when you're backing it down here around this tight, narrow course.
Everyone trying to find their survival spot currently, as we're seeing some of the field and the drivers. Cody Reed in the 88 bringing out another version of the Dale Earnhardt Senior schemes as your hot lap designs fastest lap. Gavin Rogers putting down a 1 minute 30.718, as that's another way you can grab a bonus point. Whoever has the fastest lap of the race will grab your hot lap designs fastest lap, and we'll get 1 bonus point for themselves. But Cody Reed rocking a special Dale Earnhardt Jr. scheme when Dale Earnhardt Jr. ran this scheme back at Sonoma. I forgot what year it was, but one of these Sonoma schemes that the old 88 used to run. As we fall back to 7th and find ourselves with Larry Yingling, who's not getting complete no man's land, but has the most space behind him and in front of him compared to most drivers in the field right now.
Yeah, there's a little stack up behind him. Joshua
Whoa,
Stovall.
Ethan Delaire. Big slide for that 22 right in front of Cedric Hunter, and for Hunter, that was what he was waiting for, the mistake that he could take that position back.
That's exactly right. And sometimes all you got to do at these road courses is just wait for that right moment to pounce and go for it. So it is always fun to watch as Stovall getting under attack from the 66 of Campbell down here, and I think Campbell going to make a pass in a very tight sector and do a really good job of making that work. Now is Christopher Norster going to go through this bend? I don't know if that's going to work.
No.
Oh, there's a wreck.
Stovall, big slide, huge save for himself to the outside. Hunter will dash to the outside as well, and everyone trying to find their opening and spacing, and Hunter from gaining a spot to giving it right on back. As everyone's locking up once again, Stovall is struggling with grip now after that big slide through the plaza, and just everyone trying to resettle in. They're almost 3 wide heading into turn number 12. Delaire wants to force the issue for the 22. He'll stay low, and a pass made for himself. Delaire, that last lap gave up a spot, but by the end of the lap, he gains 2 spots back.
Yeah, he is pushing it, and man, I tell you what, he's pushing it a lot right there. He's locks up the left front there. He's going to have to hang it out wide, but he's sliding back across. Cedric Hunter's got to miss it again, and Cedric Hunter's just been in the worst spots for all these incidents. He's just got caught out more than anybody. Now he's going to get turned.
Almost spun around and able to get it pointed back straight, and this cluster of drivers right on top of one another, and it's the pink Hello Kitty machine that just cannot find a way to get away from the madness. He just feels like a magnet right now with everything just happening time after time. And we're just 5 laps in. Zach, I mean, with the way that these drivers are slipping and sliding, I don't know, they realize they still have to go another 20 laps before you break this race in half. You've got the fuel to make it that far. I mean, the way that I'm seeing them slipping and sliding, they might think about maybe doing a 2-stop to help with the tire situation.
I was exactly thinking that, Sam, because, yeah, I mean, 25 laps is what you're going to have to do to split this thing in half. And from what I'm watching from a few, they're not going to make it to 25. They're going to be in the barrier before that is said and done. So some of these drivers, the 2-stop might be more beneficial just to not have as many mistakes and have that opportunity of fully ruining your race. So we'll see if they elect to do it. But definitely, I think the 1-stop is the optimal, quicker strategy.
We continue to see these drivers searching for where the best position is. We're going to drop back to that cluster of drivers in that 17th, 18th position because they're still on top of one another. Everyone else about a second gap between each other. But Zach, I mean, I kind of want to ride along with Samuel S. Garcia here in the 85 because he's stuck in the middle. He's got drivers behind him, drivers ahead of him. And what a sense this has got to be, knowing you got to train the drivers you're trying to attack to catch up to, but there's just really not enough space to even attempt to pass. Then you got a driver in your mirror that's trying to hunt you down. That's Aaron Kralik right behind you.
It is so tough because you're trying to focus ahead here. I mean, you can see right ahead of him, Kanata. He's trying to focus his best effort here. And not make mistakes while also catching the driver ahead of you is also hard. But then you got to look in your mirror, too, in some of these hard braking zones. Just glance up to make sure that you're not going to get, a driver diving up the inside. So it is a tough task, and you're trying to stay out the walls. That is the one thing that street course racing has brought new to NASCAR in general. Most of the road courses we have major runoffs. You can just run right off the track and kind of give up the exit. Not here. This place makes you play by the rules, and you got to stay in between these walls if you want to have any chance of finishing to the checkered flag.
All tighten up here in the final sector of the track, really coming out of turn number 6, really slow down for the technical plaza section of this course. And a few 90-degree angle corners you have to tackle before you get to the end of this run. And just seeing everyone getting on top of one another. Zach, we're seeing a lot of counter steering, and maybe for people that aren't used to seeing the drivers pointing the steering wheel in the opposite direction, I know in the next gen that's kind of something difficult to do because there's what we like to call a kind of a grip moment where it kind of just snaps on you. How much counter steer do you even have the ability to do in this Xfinity car compared to that next gen that we see on Wednesday nights?
I would say it's, on road courses, I would say it's still somewhat similar, but you still have that moment where the next gen will bite you at any point, just the way it rips up sometimes on the tires. So it can have those moments, as you see right now. James Watson made that pass on Ethan Hilaire there to get up to 13 center gunner, trying to maybe follow him through. But this car, you definitely have a lot more to lean on, so to say. When you get loose, you kind of have a little bit more feel. There's more sidewall on the tire, so it's almost like having a bigger suspension on the car. So it just gives you that little bit more feel, a little bit more time to react. But I will say, anytime you see those counter steers, those moments like that, that is heating the tires. That is overheating and, just meaning you're lighting the rear tire up at some point, and that is what you're trying to stay away from. So the driver that can stay the smoothest with that wheel will be probably the best off, so to say, when it comes to tire wear. But you definitely can throw these things around and let them slide at the same time.
Now, we're not trying to stay too biased on keeping up with Cedric Connor, but he certainly has been around a lot of this chaos in the early going. Now trying to set up a pass to get by James Watson, as after getting by Dallaire for this feels like the third time here in just 8 laps. As other battles that are happening on course, you see Joshua Kanata trying to figure out how to get by the 22. Garcia's caught back up. This is where the real closing rate for the 85 starts to show. Exit the corner, trying to set up who's got the better exit to kind of get back up to speed. Garcia pointing the nose. He wants to attempt for a pass, but backs out of it. Doesn't feel like he's close enough. Really go for that dive bomb move. Turn 1, a difficult spot. I mean, I feel like, Zach, that corner, a little bit deceiving on when you can really go for a pass there.
It really is. Turn 1, it kind of lures you in thinking that this would be the perfect opportunity to pass in the lap, but it kind of just tightens up so much on the exit there that if you don't get the job done quickly, you will quickly be in a worse state, so to say, of being too wide on that exit. So you got to really make the pass done. And look right here is a good example. Look how tight the 87 has to stay to the inside, not to allow the two, and him to come together. So it just shows you it's really hard to race side by side, but these guys are doing a good job back battling for these spots.
Battling happening for 24th, 5th, and 26th. It's Gary Wells, Ben Keeney, and Stephen Clapp all going up against one another, as this is practically the battle for last, but just proving road course racing, it's not about who's the favorite. It's about trying to make it to the end. And there's a lot of smoke there, and there's a driver in pit road. Ethan Smith has called it a night. Patrick Hernandez, 2 laps ago, called it a night also. Both drivers are done, but Ethan, the reason for that puff of smoke we just saw on screen, not sure exactly what happened to him, but Zach, it looked like for the 00, that earlier contact and troubles just continued to ramp up, and this was the end of the night for Ethan.
Yeah, I think he actually lost it down here down the long straightaway here with the right bend. It just went to get on the brakes here, and this is something that is going to happen the longer you go on the run. the more these rear tires are heated up, this sector, I told people before this race, this will be a very tough spot as the run went on. And you can see there, no rear grip when he turned in there to try to straighten that car out.
And we've got even more trouble on track. Michael Miller and many of other drivers, our biggest cluster making contact. It's the 99 going to be having contact with the 01, the 85, and a few other drivers collected in a mess going into turn number 1. It looked like for Miller, he was missing the corner completely, and some drivers not able to avoid where he was at. Trouble right as we were looking at that replay of what happened to the 00, and oh man, this one's going to be a hard one to watch, as it's going to be heading into turn number 1 when we see all this damage go down.
Yeah, we'll see right here, Miller going through the final corner, just sliding that race car a little bit there. He's got Watson and Cedric Hunter right behind him as you're going down this long frustrator. You see the sliding going on in the background from Ethan Delaire, but we'll see here down into 1, and James Watson, major lockup right into the 99, and that's going to spin him around. That allows Cedric Hunter through, but man, here comes Garcia and Kralik, and like you said, that was the major gaggle behind that just couldn't get woed up in time to miss that car being parked on the outside like that.
That's it. Like I said, it's so narrow. If you're going to be maximizing your speed, you're going to throw yourself to the outside, and awful contact made. We'll take another look at this incident and get a sense of what it was like for Samuel S. Garcia as he was trying to get through, and you see smoke, and there's a vehicle, though, right in your path.
And Kralik right in behind him to hit him and just shove him farther into it, so it just stacks up even worse for that group. So man, that is a tough break for Michael Miller there, who just kind of got caught off there by the 39 of Watson there making that big mistake. And we see people lock up, we see that very often in next gen car. You'll see people lock up, throw a left front or right front tire to lock it up and slide into the corner and miss the corner. But a lot of times, even in these cars, you're not only fighting that lockup from the brakes, but also the rear end just hopping due to downshifts. You don't have that independent rear suspension.
Speaking of hopping, the 08 of Jackson Anderson with a little bit of a hop skip off the exit of turn number 12. He went for a slide, losing all the momentum. He'll lose a position to Thomas Green. Jared Talmadge closes in on the gap. And what was wild about that one, Anderson, the fastest vehicle on track the lap prior, will throw that all the way. He's lost all that time and momentum of trying to run down our top 2. Now it's just survive until pit stops.
That is, and that was a big slide. The best thing about that, he didn't touch a wall. I mean, he slid completely sideways through the final corner, got so close to touching the rear end against the wall, but luckily just had enough speed to slow it down and just get out of it. But it gets in the wall a little bit right there. And again, you overheat these tires, you overwork them. We saw the fast time from him last time by, but it just kind of just overworks the tires, and then from there you start to slide, and those entries get very difficult. That is the one thing when I was driving around here testing, I noticed if you cooked the rear tires, your entries just had no stability, and you just had nothing to lose.
As these drivers continue to race on, 11 laps are in the book. Vincent Sora still leads the way. A little bit of back and forth on lap times between Sora and Rogers. They still keep it within a second and a half between one another. Other battles that are happening on track. Larry Hingling trying to find a way to stay ahead of Wally Fonseca. Joshua Stovall is 9th, 10th, and 11th currently on track that you're seeing currently going around the plaza with that hard left-hander around the corner. Other drivers that are continuing to be aggressive. Ethan Delaire, Garcia, as well as Watson, they just continue to beat and bang around one another. This is probably one of the most entertaining ones to watch because it's turning more into a brawl, and we're not even halfway yet.
There's been some moments, and we got to remember that incident limit could very well be creeping up for a few of these drivers. So you get in 2 4X incidents, that's 8. I mean, that's a quick, situation of you're already past the halfway point, so to say, for the rest of the race, and you're not even halfway. So that is going to be close, I think, for a lot of these guys out here. I wouldn't be surprised if we see a few drivers by the end of this thing, Sam.
I wouldn't be surprised by it either. And other drivers that are getting ready for their first attempts of lap traffic. Already going to see Austin Halsey as well as Travis Downing have gone a lap down. Next driver on the list to go a lap down going to be Ben Kinney, excuse me, in the 51. So he's trying to stay out of the way for Sora and also trying to slow down for Gavin Rogers, but it tightens up here, and luckily Ben gets on the brakes, gets on the binders, and lets the 75 go on by.
It can be such a tricky situation as we see Rogers there slide through the penultimate corner here before they come to the final right-hander before they get on the front straightaway. It's just such a thing of timing. You know, when you're catching a lap car like that that's trying to let people through it, especially critical points like that, if the timing is wrong, it can make things so bad. But luckily, everybody went through there safely, and right now this lead has been pretty much gone anywhere from 8/10 to a second and a half, been kind of yo-yoing back and forth. And gotta say, Sam, I'm impressed with Gavin Rogers. I didn't know what to expect with him. We've only seen him in the next gen car, and that car's just never had tire fall off. So we don't really haven't seen. This is kind of like the unknown for Rogers. So right now he's definitely on the fly, doing a great job and showing those road course skills continue to shine.
Yeah, I mean, this is the one track I think for Gavin Rogers. He has circled up as, okay, if I show up for this race, I put in the time and effort, I'm going to be quick. The question is, can I line up for a win? Because a win here tonight for Gavin Rogers could really change up his whole season. Instead of thinking about, I got to point my way in the top 16, I'm all the way back in 41st position in points is where Rogers finds himself entering tonight. He's got to find a way to point his way in, but if he gets a win, that point cut line he's looking for, instead of being 16th, is now down to 25th. And he's got a lot more of a better opening to go after of trying to make it into the playoffs, where I know all drivers are excited due to the fact that we've got tonight, Nashville next week, Michigan, Dover taking over for Martinsville, and then Chicagoland finishing out the regular season. There's a lot of points to be grabbed. We'll see how well they can turn this thing around. As take a look at the 49, that lap 1, lap 2 incident. I mean, Zach, this has got to be demoralizing for a driver who was expecting big points here tonight. Ryan Bird, no hood. At least he's in 13th, but expecting a top 10 here tonight. Doesn't look like that will be the case with the way he's running currently.
Does not look to be the case. I mean, right now, lap time-wise, he is quicker than a few drivers up ahead of him who seem to be struggling a little bit. So maybe we'll see him get up there, but, I mean, doing a great job with a destroyed race car. I mean, there's no hood. That's got to take a lot of downforce off of that car. And right now, he's just trying to do the best he possibly can to score the points he can. So Bird really in a get to the end mode. And I'd say if he wouldn't have that damage, he would have definitely been contending for a top 10.
Aaron Kralik using the wall just slightly for himself. Behind them, going to be seeing Dallaire in as well. Garcia going back and forth again. The middle of the field is where a lot of drivers have been having a lot of fun, going back and forth, kind of using each other up, using the equipment around them. But like we've noted on, that incident limit, it continues to inch closer and closer if you're not careful. 14 laps are in. Garcia able to set up the pass in the 22s. A little bit of a slide, but it looks like for the 22 of Ethan Dallaire, he does not look comfortable with where he's at tire-wise. I mean, he was already slipping and sliding 3 laps in. And he's just looking like this race is going to be a nightmare to finish off, as he still has 10 more laps before we get to halfway.
I tell you what, Sam, looking at lap times, everybody has hit that tire fall-off range. It is starting to get to be the struggle point for people. The only person I don't really see struggling too bad is pretty much Vince Sora. The rest of the field has been quickly sold. Dallaire there, another big mistake. And just showing you again, look at the rears. He just can't even get on the power with how little grip he has.
Yeah, it's miserable for this 22. Two drivers have entered into pit road. Travis Downing, Austin Halsey. Downing officially just calling it a night. He's been already gone a lap down, was setting up to go 2 laps down, decided, you know what, we're just going to park it for the night. That's going to be our 3rd driver, calling it an evening, as we've got this great battle happening between the likes of Dallaire as well as seeing Garcia. There's also a duel of 3 drivers. The 9th place battle, Ali Fonseca, Larry Yingling, Joshua Stovall. They find themselves right on top of one another, as you're seeing lap traffic influencing not just the leaders, but also further in the field.
And they are, and Stovall closes right up to the back bumper of Yingling, right in the center of the corner. And Stovall has had some usage of that front bumper. Looking like Yingling, I think he's going to let him by, because he just knows it could be a little bit of a dangerous situation. Stovall, one to always make a move for sure, and he definitely made the big move that caused that major stack up at the beginning, getting into the back of Ryan Bird, which shot him into Fonseca. So Stovall definitely one to use the nose.
And looking as we continue to watch this battle, it's a good one to keep your eyes on. Seeing the wheelmanship by the one of Stovall. Update on Gavin Rogers. Went from being within a half a second of Vincent Sora now to 5.5 seconds back. Reason why? He was behind lap traffic for just that last sector of the track from turns 7 all the way to turn 12 and lost all that time. And for the 75, that could have been the blow that killed his race here just on lap 16. Now he's going to need a lap car to slow down Vincent Sora for a chance to close in this gap.
And I don't think a lap car is going to be the biggest concern for him. I think the tires are, Sam. He's made some big mistakes also. He's missed a few corners. It's starting to fall away right now, and he needs about another 10 laps before he can come to pit road, because you come any earlier, you're making your last run even harder. I just think the rear end is gone. I've been watching him. He's just sliding everywhere. I wouldn't be surprised by the end of this run when we see pit road happen, this lead will be over 10 seconds.
Well, one driver already attempting the taking the two-stop strategy. Jackson Anderson in the 08 just left pit road. He's attempting to go tackle to go forward. And one driver, though, black flag going to be given out to the 39, James Watson, our first victim of the penalties. Too many incident points, and Watson has to head to pit road.
In that wall too many times, and into the competition maybe a few times also, will stack up those points, and next thing you know, you got a black flag to serve. And that drive through, he cannot service the car, so he has to drive straight through and then come back around for his later pit stop. As you see the new tires on Jackson Anderson just cruising here past the 16 of Kanata, and we'll see how this works out. I think for drivers farther back in the field, this might be the call to make. I mean, some of them have lost so much rear grip in these last few laps that I think you got to really be smart with how you manage this.
Yeah, I mean, a few drivers are about a second off of their fastest time. Few others are about 2 seconds off. Finding that consistency is the big thing you're looking for. Update on Ethan Delaire. Came into pit road, thought it was going to be a simple 4 tires and fuel. He is taking damage repairs, optionals for the 22. He's been in pit road for over 40 seconds now. So I think for Ethan Delaire, might have been a strategy call, but once he saw how much optional damage there was, sitting and getting it fixed and being able to just drive the track, I think it's the ultimate goal for the 22. A couple of other drivers out on course. Here's the 01 of Aaron Krolick, because he's trying to hold back that fresh tires from Jackson Anderson. That's up to 14th already. And that last lap for Anderson, I mean, he's doing everything in his power to try to get by this 01 and just showing the difference in that grip.
Yeah, the grip is so enormously big. I mean, just drives by him like he's standing still. And especially through this corner, you're just going to carry so much more rear end stability through there, where you're just on eggshells if you're Aaron Krolick right now. So Anderson really utilizing those tires, and if anything, with this strategy, I think he can still make something of this. I mean, he's already ahead of the drivers in 14th right now, up to 13th on the strategy for drivers who haven't pit yet. So technically, he's ahead of them.
Oh, hard contact on the front stretch for the 87. Gary Wells just going to turn number 12, immediately heads into pit road. Massive front end damage as he completely missed that final corner. Trying to slow down, but just drove right into the outside wall, as he'll now get his service done. Take a look at how bad the damage is, take some tires, and we'll see how long he sits in pit road as Ethan Delaire's in there for a while. And another driver's out. It's Jackson Anderson. He's called it a night.
Wow, just like that, Sam, too. And he lost it down there in the McDonald's straightaway. Just completely lost it in that penultimate corner, that right-hander. I think he said, you know what, I'll tell 4 I'm out of here because I've already messed up a couple times.
And it wasn't even that he hit the wall. He just spun out and said, that's it, I'm done. That is a wild one. Now, Anderson is racing as a part-timer. That immediate exit, he is done. He is out of there. That's our 4th driver officially calling it a night. Halsey still sits in pit road. Same for Ethan Delaire. Delaire, he is now just calling it an evening for the 22. And Gary Wells, we'll see if he decides to call it a night here early on. So, Zach, in a blink of an eye, 6 drivers are now out of this thing.
That they are. It just shows you the attrition that can start to pile up, and we're not even at halfway. We still have 7 laps to get there. So it is it is plenty of time for mistakes to happen. And right now, the podium position battle is starting to heat up. Thomas Green, he was able to drive up through, get up to third, and kind of got away from Talmadge. But I tell you what, Jarrett has really been setting a pretty consistent pace. He's not been really, putting lights out laps downs. It's just been very consistent and gaining time here and there. It's just now going to be critical to see if he can keep up with that with this 3 machine and put the pressure on.
Yeah, I mean, you know that your ultimate goal is 3rd place. That's what you're marching for unless there's a major mistake that strikes Forget Rogers or Sora. And it's a driver you've raced around for years now. Jared Talmadge, Thomas Green, the history between these 2 drivers on how they've grown as drivers. I feel like initially it was Thomas Green was the initial rising star, but of recent, Jared Talmadge has really elevated his racing game, joining with the likes, if you see us on our old Monday night series, the ISRC Truck Series, joined up with John Forbes, Vincent Sora, and really gained a lot of knowledge on how to be faster as a driver. We've seen it on Wednesday nights with the next-gen vehicle, and I think Jared's probably one of my favorite drivers to see here of recent, of how much he has grown as a driver compared to just hoping for a top 5 finish to now he's expected to get top 5 finishes.
He really is. It is so impressive, and the thing is, if he keeps building on that, it'll be consistent wins at some point. You keep that momentum up, you keep that pressure on those top spots. At some point, you're going to break through. So Jared is definitely one that doesn't stack up the most wins, but he is just so consistent week in and week out, and I think that's what makes him such a solid, valuable driver in these series.
As Ryan Ferraro will be the next driver. Call it an evening. Into pit road could be Michael Miller as well as James Watson. Watson missing his pit box as Michael Miller going to go with the 2-stop strategy as he pits here on lap 20. We'll see when the next time he decides to hit pit road, but we haven't shown him at all here tonight because he's been in his own zip code. Let's see how the 15 of Vincent Sora is feeling. I mean, Zach, this has got to be such an incredible feeling to know you are this fast. You are so on rails compared to the rest of the field. All you got to do is just survive these next couple of laps, make it to halfway, lead that halfway bonus position, pit, and then it's set and sail for the end of this race.
And, this gap is so valuable because it gives him wiggle room and play room to play with the tire delta. We see how much tires are an advantage here in these cars. Well, guess what? He has this 7-8 second gap right now. He can stretch it out a lap, 2 more than the likes of Gavin Rogers, and have the ability to have that little bit of fresher tires. Now, you don't want to, of course, get jumped. If you get undercut and fully overtaken, the pass is still going to be tough. Rogers is solid and definitely is not going to make it easy for him to get around. So you got to be smart with it, but it does give him that buffer zone and that wiggle room to play with. But he's got to stay locked in, though, because I've seen moments where it slips away and he starts to slide. So it is, even though he's the leader and the quickest out here for majority of the laps, he is not vulnerable to mistakes. And at any point, we can see that wall sneak up and be an issue. It's definitely done it to people in the past.
Want to see a battle that's happening on track? Well, let's go to 11th place and watch the Hello Kitty machine and Ryan Bird. Cedric Hunter just opting out and deciding, you know what? This 49 is too quick for me. Just gets out of the way. And Ryan Bird is now up to 11th place. No hood, no worries. He is going forward quickly at this moment.
He is on a mission, Sam. I tell you what, I mean, after I'm pretty sure the first lap of this race, he was all the way back around the 20th, about the 23rd, 24th position.
Sorry to cut you off. We got to see if there's a replay of the 88 of Cody Reed. Heavy damage on the front end of Cody Reed, as he's now currently trying to stay ahead of Joshua Stovall, but trouble strikes on turn number 2 here this evening, as he was on lap 21. He was trying to stay ahead of Justin T. Campbell, who we were just on camera with. So right when I pulled the camera away, right is when we saw the 88 have his troubles with tires, just a poor lockup zone, and throwing himself into the tire barrier here.
And this one, I think more likely than less, is Will Hop. Just getting hard into the zone, a little bit of braking, and then going to hit that, hit the downshift, and that rear end's just going to hop, and he's going to try to get this thing spun around the best he could. Did a really good job, actually, of getting that around quickly. But, I think Christopher Norris, black flag for him to the 38. So the 38, he is going to have a drive through.
Drive through for Christopher Norris. And again, like Zach said, you cannot take service. You have to enter pit road, drive all the way through, and then the next time you come back around, you can get service for yourself. As the 38 goes from staying ahead in 5th place to now all the way to 10th, 11th. I mean, it's a sad fall to 12th as he's going to enter pit road, going to get service done, and then we'll probably serve that penalty once again.
Yeah, gonna have to come back down for that for sure, unless maybe
is this a hold penalty on top of it?
Oh no, he's done.
I think he might have gotten a hold penalty of speeding on entry, and he's just gonna cop it today. It's over for Christopher Norris.
Night over for him, and he was up to the top 6. He had really driven a good race, but had gotten way involved in too much stuff coming through. I think he had a pretty banged up front end there, and going to take him out of this race here early. It's just so tough here at the Chicago Street Course, and we're not even to halfway, Sam. This place is not done.
Trouble back for the battling for 8th place. Ollie Fonseca, almost complete disaster for himself. That last corner, turn number 6, locking up right into this crowd of 3. Luckily, no one else involved, but this grouping of 4 getting a little bit dangerous as the closer and closer they get, and about to be seeing the emergence of a 5th driver involved as Larry Yingling is closing in. Gavin Rogers will be the first of our top 2 to hit pit road.
That he does. Gavin Rogers goes to pit road, and I think it was a good call for him because he was quickly going to be caught by Thomas Green and Jared Talmadge. Don't put this out of the realm. That battle for the 2nd position is not over because Gavin was struggling there at the end. He was just had no rear grip left. He couldn't get into the corner, couldn't get off the corner. So he had to come down early here. Now he's going to have to stretch the tires even farther than what he's took before. So we'll see with the knowledge he has from this run, can he fix that problem he's had with the rear tires?
The problem is, Zach, he pitted on lap 23. He still will have an extra 4 more laps he has to run to take it to the end of this upcoming stint. This makes the final portion of this race even more difficult for the 75. He's hoping this early advantage of better tires will build a big enough gap for later on in this race. As seeing the 88 of Cody Reed, he's trying his best to stay ahead and everyone's slipping and sliding. Now going to be seeing the drivers attempting for a pass in. I mean, this is incredible to see. The fact that Ollie Fonseca has been doing well, but the 99 of Michael Miller just putting all the pressure on these guys.
Definitely a lot of pressure. And big mistake from Fonseca there. Allows Yingling passing. Here comes Rogers on those new tires coming through as he's going to have a head of steam.
And Ollie once again, and that's a second. Oh boy, almost in a Hunter. And Ollie just having a complete meltdown for the 24. He'd been struggling at turn 6. It ultimately throws away, goes into 7, bounces off the tire wall almost into the 13, and just continues to clobber the wall. Ollie Fonseca required damage as he's just trying to limp this machine to pit road.
And this is not good for him. He came in 30th in points, and remember, no stage points here. He is not going to get rewarded for this. This is going to be night possibly over unless he can get that fixed quickly, Sam. This is tough for Fonseca to see, but man, just it shows you one mistake around here, it could be night's over.
Blink of an eye and it is done. Cody Reed now going into pit road. Gary Wells is leaving pit road. It took Gary almost 10 minutes to get damage repaired, but the 87 is finally going to get out there on track. And with the amount of drivers that are out of this thing, Gary Wells from 23rd could be inside of the top 20 by the end of this race if he can make it to the end. Cody Reed's exiting out of his stop, as well as Justin T. Campbell. Gavin Rogers attempting everything in his power to close in the gap for a better chance to battle up front. But Zach, this has been a very up and down race for a lot of these drivers as Gavin Rogers able to get by the 99 of Miller.
That's critical. Had to do that before you get down to this section because it's just almost impossible to pass once you get right here. It's just so narrow, this part of the track. So good job getting the pass done when he needed to, but you can see Rogers there. He's just fighting the wheel and very aggressive. I've noticed that one thing about his style. He is, and I've always been intrigued by his style because it works so well in the next gen. Just that super aggressive cutting of the wheel and left to right, and just it works so well in that car. But I think that is where his struggles come on the longer run in this car here tonight. It's just going to overwork those tires and overheat him. As Stovall coming to pit road, that could be tricky sometimes there because it's tough to get slowed down around that final corner to get into pit road.
Yeah, if it's an emergency stop, it's a difficult pit road to get into. If you know you're pitting that lap, you can really focus on braking a lot more. Make sure that entry into pit road isn't too dramatic, but drivers trying their best to slow down to pit speed, which is 45 miles per hour off the exit of turn number 12. But seeing Larry Yingling, he's currently runs in 4th position and is 67 like he does, I feel like, all the time. Quietly under the radar, but what a fantastic road course race it's been for Larry Yingling so far, as he's been able to get ahead of Thomas Green, who made his pit stop and got his service done. As we are at the halfway lap, the end of this lap, Vincent Sora will be grabbing his bonus point for himself as he hopes to cross the line.
Oh, and there's Vincent Sora coming in. We'll see if there's any mistakes from that crew. It looks like no black flag, so that's good to see for him. But I will say I saw one giant mistake on pit road. It's the driver leaving pit road right now, the 49 of Ryan Bird, who has been resurging back through. He went too far to the left, Sam, and that is to the right here on this pit road. And that is the worst thing that could possibly happen, because a lot of times you have to back up and pull back forward, and that's exactly what he had to do. He did not just have to back up, he had to back up, straighten out, and get back stopped. So he lost a ton of time there on that pit road stop.
As Vincent Sora is getting his service done, about to be leaving pit road. Joshua Kanata leaves pit road. It gives a new leader up front. It's the 27 of Jarrett Talmadge. Will try to run a lap around, get a lap led for himself. And Jarrett Talmadge, all that time, love to see it, as now our newest on lap designs fastest lap, Gavin Rogers, putting down a burner for back in 3rd place. But Zach, that's a positive and a negative. At least it's a bonus point that you're attempting to get. But that means he is cooking those tires with still 25 laps to go.
Yeah, you got to be careful. I mean, the lap time, I think, dropped maybe. He might be trying to manage it more. It's just the track has gained more grip with how much we've cooled off to. We're about the 81-degree track tip now, so the track has continued just to slowly cool off as we check out the weather there in our bottom right conditions. It's really helped, I think, the grip, but I still have concerns, like you said, Sam. He's got to stretch it so much farther on the tires this time that I think it could be a battle between him and Thomas Green. I don't know if Jarrett staying out this long is going to help him. He's going to lose a lot of time, I think, with this staying out to lead a lap, but it could very well be a battle for second between Green and Rogers before this is all said and done, even though it's right now about a 7-second gap.
And for Jarrett Talmadge, he will stay out for an additional lap on top of that. So this will be a 2-lap stint that he will stay out over Vincent Sora, who pitted. And the main reason why, Vincent Sora just merely 6 seconds back. So if the 27 had gone into pit road, he may not have crossed the line as the leader, as Sora did that the lap prior. As now seeing the rest of the field, how they want to tackle this race. There's still a handful of drivers that need to finish, need to make at least one more stop before the race is over. Our leader Jarrett Talmadge still needs to pit, as well as the 67, of Larry Yingling. Is Thomas Green. Where did that come from? Your hot lap designs fastest lap to the 3 machine now, as Green wants to get that one extra bonus point over Rogers, who's already cooked those tires. He cannot attempt for that fastest lap again. The Green just stealing that there. Also, Yingling needs to make a stop before this run is over. Mark Labertone needs to make a stop. And those are the 3 that are left out there, as about 19 drivers still out there on track to the 29 that started this race.
Doing a good job, these drivers are, to keep it as clean as they can. I mean, we've seen a lot drop out so far, but Green, that's a major hit. That right there, surprisingly no required damage so far, but that hit, Sam, was gigantic. He was catching up the Labertone there, and I think just overcooked the entry.
Overcooked the entry in that contact. We continue to monitor it, of how bad is the steering for the 3 machine. That's going to be the big thing of watching out. Is there a massive issue with this steering currently? Still keeping decent pace, hoping that the 44 will get out of the way, move to the right and slow down. No, he'll stay in the racing line. So Labertone gonna slow down Green, who's gonna take a much tighter corner here on the entry. And the 3, from putting down the fastest lap of the day to major damage that he's hoping doesn't slow him down. But that was a 2-second difference from your fastest lap to issues in front of you.
Well, I tell you what, we talked about the fastest lap. Vincent Sora, 1:29.72 there first lap on his set of new tires. So, yeah, I was pretty I think right about the track just being overall quicker right now due to that cooling down process, the rubber movement laying down here, just a lot of things equating to a much higher grip level right now for some of these drivers. So right now, this is going to be very, very interesting because I think Rogers is doing a better job this time of saving his tires. He's, I think, going to have to at least have in his mindset, unless Vincent makes a mistake, he's battling for second here tonight.
I mean, I'm looking at the seconds between the gap between first and second right now. The last time that we really looked at the gap, when Vincent Sora left pit road to when Jared Talmadge decided, all right, I'm going to stay out to try to lead a lap, it was over 9 seconds. It's now less than 3 seconds between those two. Sora is our rocket ship right now, as Gary Wells in the 87 trying to muscle his way to gain all these positions back from drivers that called it a night early with their troubles. As Talmadge heads into pit road, we still wait for Yingling to make his stop, as well as going to be Mark Labertone. But Gary Wells, the top 20, is in front of him with getting the damage repaired and getting back out there on track. Cody Reed in the 88, though, 7th place, even with all of the damage he's accrued for himself, trying to stay ahead of Joshua Stovall. And Stovall trying his best to close in on that 88 machine.
That he is trying to do his best. And I think a lot of these drivers, probably their focus is switched to not only survival of making it to the end when it comes to damage, but I think survival when it comes to these incident points. I think there's got to be a few drivers with some of these hits they've taken to the wall, some of these moments they've hit, with other competition. There's got to be some drivers that are very close, pretty much, more or less. And I think coming down to the end here, it's just going to take one mental slip up for you to cause yourself to go over that limit, and that drive-through can just be such a killer.
It really could. And another thing that's being a killer, lap cars. I know that's been hindering some drivers on how they can get through this field, as a couple of drivers just trying to get out of the way immediately when they see that there's a driver closing in quickly. Others are staying in the racing line. And Zach, I mean, both are proper ways you can race this thing. I mean, if you raced any endurance racing or you watched any endurance racing, it's promoted that if you're the slower driver, run the racing line, make the faster driver get around you, because that makes it to where you're a lot more predictable. You can get around that driver. But Zach, you do appreciate the drivers that just get out of the way immediately and recognize, all right, there's a speed difference, I don't want to slow you down.
That's for sure. I think the number one thing when you're lapping cars as a leader is assert your position. Do not be one of those drivers that closes up right on the back bumper and then makes that late move. Show that you're going to look to the inside. As I say that, Gavin Rogers, I've been watching him, Sam, he is in trouble. This car is going evil. It is, I mean, literally he just drifted through the final corner, and even every corner, the rear end just, I mean, we could sit and watch from you. It is just sideways for this guy, and he has got a long way to go. I mean, he has got 20 laps still on these tires.
Yeah, this isn't going to make it. I mean, we saw Dallaire. He was in a similar spot where he was drifting around practically every corner, and then he found himself within 10 laps. He was practically deciding, you know what, the race is over for me. Rogers, race might be done with this one. Big slide into turn number 6. Luckily slowed down enough. Just a simple graze on the back bumper, but the tires are so worn. They're so gone. The question is, can he even get to pit road to even take a set of tires, as Maurice Gomillion will keep it side by side. Now Thomas Green is here. All the time lost. The 3 is closed in, and Rogers is even drifting through the plaza corner.
Wow, you can just see, I mean, his car is, it's just the rear end is gone. I have no clue how it's gone away this fast for him, but it is just totally gone. I mean, he's in the wall right there, and now Thomas Green is past the lap car. This should get interesting. I mean, if anything, again, he's sliding right there again.
He's hit the wall again.
Yeah.
I don't even know if he can get back around. He's got to, but this is a race moment where Rogers, with 20 laps to go, might have just seen everything throw away, because even when he gets on the brakes, it doesn't slow down. He has to drift to slow this vehicle down to this point.
Yeah, he's got a broke right rear there, and or left rear, and that is that's going to make things impossible here for him. So this has just gone from, at one point looking, like a battle between the two up front, to where he just has lost the grip for this race car, and right now he is just. So we'll see if he can hang on, but this is going to be tough to hang on to, Sam, around the rest of the 20 laps.
Oh, no.
Oh,
and there it is. That's it. That's the race ender. I'm surprised it's still rolling. But that is the contact that calls Gavin Rogers' day over. It is even more broke than it was before. Maurice Gilmillion was just trying to get by. Gavin Rogers pulls to the side. He's going to take the tow from a second place, almost absolute, to now might be back to around 19th to 18th place. Rogers tows it to pit road, and this now solidifies Thomas Green, Jared Talmadge. They're fighting to be 2-3, and if you're the likes of Justin T. Campbell, your fight for a top 3 is now alive.
And it is. This is wild here. Some of these guys who've been propelled in positions that I don't think any of us thought would be possible here with how some of the first laps played out for some of these guys. So, I mean, Ryan Burge still has a possibility at the top 5, even though he lost so much time on pit road. I mean, anything is really possible right now as we're on board with Campbell, who, I mean, again, he's flirting with a podium. So this is just mind-blowing to see how easy it is to slip away, and we still have 19 laps, Sam. This thing is far from over.
It really is, and the survival game. And this was something I kind of threw out the drivers during the practice, because I've seen Chicago Street Course races go in the past. This track is all about survival and surviving. You could find yourself having your best career days at times, as Rogers officially has called it a night he will fall. If everyone that's on track continues to pass Rogers, Rogers will fall all the way down to 19th position. But Zach, this is the type of a race where we could have less than half the field finish this race out. We could have only the top 5 on the lead lap by the end of this race. This is one of those bizarre runs where with less than 20 to go, you could find yourself grabbing a top 10 that you never thought you could have grabbed before.
Yeah, I think a lot of guys are going to be surprised. I mean, think about Maurice Gilmillion. I mean, he's already been getting lapped, and he's running back here in 13th. I mean, 14th. You know, all these guys that maybe thought their night would be an outside the top 15, top 20 night could possibly be right on the fringe of the top 10. And if you never know, a few of these drivers who make mistakes in front of you, we saw how many can drop like flies in just a matter of a few moments. You could be propelled into the best finish of your season. You really never know, and it's just complete the laps. That's why sometimes this Gilmillion big time loose there is he's going to make the corner. Luckily, this is personally why I love road courses so much, and the old style, how difficult these were. Because man, you got to keep the tires underneath you and complete all the laps.
You know, another driver of note that's just behind Maurice Gilmillion on the leaderboard, that's Mark Labertone. I know for some drivers, it's been irritating because he's running the racing line, but he's being predictable. That's the biggest thing that you can give to this 44 here tonight. He's been predictable. He's been staying out on track. He's been one of the slowest drivers out on track, lap after lap. He's going to need to pit here in the next lap or two. But Mark Labertone, 14th place currently, 1 lap down. And if we see any more issues ahead of him, I mean, he could be finding himself with maybe a top 10 finish if there's just something dramatic happens with drivers ahead.
It very well could. I mean, you really never know. And tell you what, for going this long too, she should have to pit very soon. Larry Yingling has pit. I think next time Labertone should have to come down. My math was telling me coming into this race from laps I ran was about 32 to 33 laps, and that will be the 32nd lap here for him this time. So maybe one more possible, but I think he'll most likely be in this time.
Well, this has been a pleasure to give you the call, the drama, the flair. Vincent Sora currently a 23-second gap lead over Thomas Green and Jared Talmadge. But for us, I think this might be one of our only times that we might be able to step away. The drama has been wild. One of our top 2 drivers is now out of this race, Gavin Rogers, falling now to 18th position. He joins the graveyard of vehicles that have called it a night here this evening. How many more can make it to the end of this thing? 17 laps to go for the Trinity Racing League, presented by Larry Arts Production. Race 6 of the Larry Art Productions Chicago Grand Prix. We've got just a few more laps to go. When we come back, we'll call the end of this race. We'll be back after this quick side-by-side commercial. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to Freaky Fast Broadcasting. My name is Sam Dyer. With me is Zach Hall. Running production in the background is Robert Moyer Jr. This has been a wild one. A lot of ups and downs, with the one consistent we all knew was going to happen. Vincent Sora leading the way, trying to go for his 4th win in 6 races to start out this season. The dominance is showing. But tonight's race is the Larry Arts production Chicago Grand Prix. We've already had over 10 drivers call it an evening, from either too many penalties, from not liking the way the car runs, to too much damage. It has been a wild roller coaster. The driver that was closest to Vincent Sora, Gavin Rogers, too much wear and tear on those tires, and the damage accrued. He called it a night just 6 laps ago. But as we've been under this commercial break, you've been watching this great battle for 5th place. It's Cody Reed, Joshua Stovall, and Zach. You kind of were bringing it up. Stovall, he's been on the hunt for a top 5 finish here this evening. The question is, can Cody Reed survive, as he's been having his own kind of a rough night, as both drivers have quite a lot of front end damage.
I think if you told Joshua Stovall that he had the top 5 here tonight, leaving this race, he would take that as a win. And right here, he's going for it. Final corner, up the inside, and we'll see if Reed can close the door. I don't think he will be able to. It's going to be very tight here on the exit. Great job by both drivers, have just given enough room to each other. Nobody really, gave anything up, but they definitely still did a great job of just giving each other enough room to work with. As now back down the inside is the one here into one.
But every time, Cody Reed trying to run the outside groove. This is going to be a tough one for Reed. He's got to close in the entry. This has been his tough corner. Turn number 2, excuse me. He survives it, but it's off into the inside, trying to break the toe from any type of a draft. But it's going to cause these drivers to be side by side through turn 3. Now into turn number 4 and 5. The wide sweeping right-hander at McDonald's. And they're going to have a short shoot, a little bit of a tap, but not going to be enough for Cody Reed to be stalled away. He will keep that position. What a duel for 5th place as Reed continues to fight on. Other duels that are happening on course, it's going to be Jarrett Talmadge as well as Thomas Green. The battle for 2nd about to be underway, as they've got a lap car ahead of them. Oh, 2 great battles happening at once.
That we do, man. These are some great, excellent battles right now forming up. And these 2 right here, Jarrett waited that longer time to stay out, and it's paid off. He's had a little bit fresher tires. He was better at the end of the run than Thomas Green the last time around. That little bit of extra tire wear to go in his back pocket, a little bit extra speed in the back pocket could be enough. Oh no, the 2 tries to get in the way.
And just where no communication between the drivers. Clap was in the way for so long, and Thomas Green, fed up with being stalled out, and finally just gives the bumper to the 2, who makes the announcement. He was trying to get out of the way, but just not quick enough for the 3's mentality. And now it's going to be Thomas Green trying to blitz his way forward. Jarrett Talmadge, what action can he do here as they head down into turn number 6? Hard braking zone, a lot of speed, a lot of mistakes have happened here with braking zones. Both make it through cleanly, and Green for now is good, but those extra little bit of grip under the tires, Talmadge just setting up for victory right now. All he has to do is just wait, settle, and predict whenever a mistake will happen by this 3 machine to strike.
It's always the preferred position right here, especially in a tire wear situation at a track like this where anything you do can be a mistake. Being right behind someone like this in a little bit higher grip level too, you're just sitting here waiting for the moment to take the opportunity, and you can be patient. He's got the gap behind him. He's got 9 seconds back to Campbell. They're much quicker on lap times than them too. So, well, actually with that lap there, the battle definitely kind of separates things. But, with the gap he has time here to wait, and we'll see. We'll see if he can set it up. But Green, we know how good he is. He's one of those drivers that looks like he's falling off his. That's a big mistake there, though.
Big mistake, slides off the exit of the corner, and Jarrett Talmadge, that was the mistake he was banking on. We'll make the pass cleanly. And now we'll just try to settle into 2nd position. It's the survival game for a lot of these drivers. Cody Reed has survived the assault by the 1 machine, but other drivers that have to survive an attack. The battle for 8th place, Larry Yingling, just about 8 laps ago, he gave this position over to Ryan Bird. Well, since then, Larry has slowly been caught by the 49 once again after pit stops were made. Will Larry just move on over, or with these 12 laps to go, is he going to fight for every spot here? Because Zach, the speed is obviously there for Bird. The question is will Larry just move on over?
It's been interesting because Larry's got the freshest tires of the field, of the guys up front. I mean, he stayed out literally as long as he possibly could. He has almost 6-lap fresher. I mean, 7-lap fresher than Ryan Bird. And Bird has considerable damage. It just seemed like Yingling just hasn't felt comfortable pushing the car all night. He's kind of been right there in the 33, 34 second bracket all night and some 35s sprinkled in. So never really able to reach too far down to the 32s or anything that quick, where many of the other drivers have found multiple seconds of lap time over him. So just seems like he's kind of comfortable with the pace he's going and doesn't really get overworked up.
And watching these drivers, I mean, Zach, you've done a lot of road course racing on your end. I know your experience in iRacing, doing endurance racing, the next gens, and so many other vehicles. Road course racing, when you're on a street course, like we're here at Chicago Street, when you're this close, when you've ran down a driver, what is it like to try to battle? I would love to hop on board with the 49, get his point of view of trying to set up this pass. But what is it, the mentality of trying to set up this pass when you're this close to the driver in front of you?
When you're this close, a lot of times people start worrying about, oh man, losing the nose, the dirty air, all that. But in my opinion, you really don't need to have that in the back of your mind. The key here is basing yourself off the person ahead. When you have that, almost what you could say is a ghost car in front of you, kind of the brake, base your braking zones off of them, gain little times here and there. You're just always at the advantage when you're behind like this to see, and especially at a street course where if you just keep the pressure on, somebody is going to finally make a mistake. Nobody can be pixel perfect around this track forever. Everybody makes a mistake at some point. So if you just stay close, that opportunity will come up. And it definitely helps also when you have these tire fall offs like this. When you don't have tire fall off, it really becomes down to who's just the fastest overall, where right now it becomes who can manage that tire and keep the heat underneath them, but also keep the pace. And that is just a style that I think many drivers still struggle with finding, just that little bit of the smoothness around these tracks.
As Ryan Bird closes in on the interior turn 6. That's the back off. You saw all that wiggling in the wheel, just trying to make sure that front end is pointed in the right direction, while also working with the accelerator. Just so many little fine moments that you're working with as Bird continues to fight on. This is the closest battle on track. The next closest is Thomas Green and Jared Talmadge, but that gap is starting to balloon out to over 1.5 seconds. This has been a fun duel, but for Ryan Bird, the patience might start to fade away, on top of the fact that his tires are so old. And Zach, I mean, this could be the strategy of Larry Yingling is, I've got 10 laps to go. I could overuse these tires. I could put down the fastest laps that I could put down, but if I just go in a smooth rate while everyone else is attacking with their older tires, they're going to lose the rear end while I'm still stable until the very end of this thing.
I completely agree with you because, at some point you kind of figure out where you're at, and Yingling is about 8.5 seconds behind the center Hunter, which running about a second, faster than him. He could have an opportunity to catch him before this is all said and done. But I think this guy he seems to always kind of drive under the limit, if so to say. You watch a lot of these guys, they're sliding a lot more, where these are little slides. They're tiny, tiny slides. And I think maybe it's just, again, he's just found his limit. He's found where he knows he can make laps and not have to worry about wrecking this thing. I think a lot of guys come into this not even focused for a win. I think like a year Larry Yingling, he's just focused on making sure he completes all the laps, and it just slowly comes to him because of that reason, and doesn't show that fast pace, but just shows just enough.
Trying to go for his 4th top 10 of the season is Larry Yingling. Been quite a run to watch him charge on through. 9 laps to go for Vincent Sora. The gap is now ballooned out to 30 seconds between himself and second place runner of Jared Talmadge. I feel like we're watching F1 and a few years ago where Max Verstappen was winning by 40 seconds. It might be up to 40 by the time that this race is over. We do want to say thank you to the major sponsors that have decided to join on board with the Trinity Racing League with their inaugural season. Sometimes it's hard to find sponsors that are willing to partner up with you, but they've found some great partners that want to help out and see this league grow. First and foremost, we want to say thank you to Larry Arts Production for joining on board, for being the race sponsor today, but primarily being the title sponsor. Larry Arts Production, Larry is really partnered up on helping with drivers. He loves sponsoring drivers as well as sponsoring leagues. He wants to see guys that are entertaining, but also quick to see them succeed out there on track. But if you want to find entertainment while going throughout your day, go to Larry Arts Production on YouTube and go see the comedy variety channel, as you'll see plenty of ranging videos from stop motion, vlogs, live streams, as well as reviews. Food reviews from Larry Arts Production has been fantastic to watch. Been loving the content, and go check out today on YouTube of Larry Arts Production. We also want to say thank you to Blazing Fast TV for being the Pull Award sponsor, Orchid Ink Tattoo Studios for being our grid sponsor, our halfway sponsor, which our halfway winner was Vincent Sora. That's SG_Racing, which is our halfway bonus point sponsor. Go check out SG_Racing today. That is Samuel S. Garcia's content. He loves showing the highs, the lows, everything that goes on in his racing career on iRacing. Go check him out on YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, and Twitch. That's SG_Racing. Of course, we also want to say thank you to Hot Lap Designs for being our fastest lap sponsor, which Thomas Green thought he was going to have that for a blink of a second, but Vincent Sora said that's mine, as he rated a 1 minute 29.7 second lap time. Only driver to run a 29 so far in this run. An incredible pace to see. He is almost absolute going to be locking in that bonus point. We also want to say thank you to Cody Reed, who sponsors the Lucky Cod Award, which if we're at a track where we see full course yellows come out and there's a driver 1 lap down that gets a lucky dog, they would get our Lucky Cod Award, where they get the free pass. And also want to say thank you to Morecast, who is our white flag sponsor. Zach, 7 laps to go. This still is the closest battle on track, and Ryan Bird, he did everything to close in the gap, but that slide there off the exit of turn 6, I don't know if those tires are liking this push, but he is doing everything in his power to try to get by this 67.
I mean, Ryan has fought for this long already. I know he's not going to give up at this point, so I expect that 49 to be glued to the back bumper of that 67. The one thing to keep in mind, too, is they're about 5 seconds back from Cedric Hunter now. They were about 8 back, so they've gained about 3 seconds on that 13 Hello Kitty machine. So before it's all said and done, 7 laps here, they could be in the realm of fighting with Cedric Hunter also. So that could possibly be a feature here coming up soon. As you see Cedric about a quarter of a straight, or 3/4 of a straightaway ahead of these guys. So we'll see if he can manage it and hold on, Sam.
Trying his best. 2 drivers have pulled themselves into pit road. Ben Keeney, Gary Wells. Gary was hoping to continue on his march from 23rd to as far up as he could go, but damage has gone a little bit too far for the 87. He's now in pit road, up to 18th place. So you got to give kudos to Gary Wells for being out there as long as he could. Ben Keeney, a little bit too much front end damage. He decided to pull into pit road to see how much he can get repaired there, leaving us with a total of 16 drivers out on track out of the 29 that started this race. And it's been a lot of ups and downs. One of the drivers that had a lot of action early on in the race, but has been under the radar as this race has progressed on. Justin T. Campbell, 4th place runner for the 66 at the time, was fighting for a top 5. And Zach, I mean, this has been a pretty good run for one of the early drivers to go into pit road, but because you pitted so early, Campbell's going to have one of the toughest 6 laps left in this race to go with.
That he will, yeah. He's starting to fall into that zone of, upwards of 4 seconds of fall off. I mean, that is massive too. I must say, 4 seconds is amazing to see. That is very old school iRacing, because a lot of times we've seen here these road courses with the trucks, with the next gen, it's been about a second and a half at most for most of the time from those. It is really good to see that you can just massively fall off a cliff here if you overwork those tires, and it really makes the strategy of this race play out a lot more differently.
It really does. I mean, oh no, and Justin T. Campbell into the wall. He still sits there, finally going to put it in reverse, trying to go forward. And now is going to lose all of this time. And Joshua Stovall within 2 seconds now. I mean, Cody Reed, excuse me, he's trying to close in. 11 seconds is the difference, but Zach, I mean, this is incredible to see the fact that we talked about the fact that can he make it to the end and just stuffs it in the wall there at turn 6.
It creeps up on you so fast. And I mean, again, he's going to be in one of the positions to fill some of the oldest tires of anybody out there. So it is going to be interesting to watch from that 66 to see if he can make it. I mean, even 10-second gap, you say that could be gone just in a blink of an eye. I mean, he just lost 20 seconds just from that slide right there alone. So, and just being stuck against the wall. So, got to stay careful if you're Campbell if you want to hold on to 4th here. And if you're Reed, you're like, man, keep doing that. I want that 4th position. Anything I can get points with, he will take.
5 laps to go for Vincent Sora. The gap's now up to 33 seconds. The difference between 1st and 2nd. 43 seconds is the difference between 1st and 3rd. Over a minute now after that contact for Campbell into the wall. Between 1st and 4th. Our top 9 are all a lap down. And there's a chance that we might be seeing 8th and 9th both go a lap down because Vincent Sora has caught them. And Zach, this is the part of the race, as for Vincent Sora, where he's caught all the lap traffic where they haven't really been in big pods between one another. This is probably the most aggressive pairing you're going to be seeing with 4 laps to go. If you're Sora, this is a tough place because you want to get by them, because you want to just continue to stay in your rhythm. But it might be better just to settle in and watch the 2 ahead of you.
And the interesting thing is, of the cars ahead of him to lap, these would be the 2 closest cars when it comes to speed of him, other than Jarrett Tallmadge, who is pretty much running the same times as what Larry Yingling and Ryan Bird are. This is pretty much like him catching 2nd place's pace right now. So it just shows you he is supremely confident and supremely fast right here tonight, because he's just closing on these guys like it's nothing. Look at Bird. He just knows there's no reason to sit there with the 15 riding right behind you, just pressuring you. Maybe you can try to hang on.
Trouble off the exit turn number 5. It's Joshua Kanata, Cody Reed get into one another. And Cody Reed, heavy damage for himself, and now is trying to limp this 88 machine to the end.
Oh, man, yeah, they had major contact before the roundabout, so to say, and then they had major contact again. You'll see here, oh, this is going to be unfortunate for Reed. I think Kanata just not realizing the 88 was there.
I don't understand that. Yeah. He just throws himself right there and then does it again right in the center. This is usually when you would back off, give space. Kanata 2 laps down and just spins out Reed.
That was very awkward for sure. And yeah, I mean, Reed is going to be probably fuming from that also, because now he's got Cedric Hunter within 2 seconds. Yingling and them only about 5 seconds back with Cedric, with even Vincent Sora leader. So I mean, it just shows you how fast things can slip away from you. Reed just trying to lap cars.
And Zach, this might get even more complicated for Joshua Kanata, because I think he didn't even know Reed was there. The way that he was racing around the 88, he blinked out right after that contact was made, like he was racing with no knowledge that there was a driver there at all. What in the world situation that was. It looked like for Kanata, he didn't know Reed was there. Reed saw it all happen. That's going to be a fight they're going to have to discuss after this race is over. But Reed fuming because he had a chance to try to run down Campbell, and now it's all thrown away.
Wow. That is just a major hiccup and glitch from the system, because, I mean, I think, like you said, Sam, he just didn't even have any clue that it was cars around him, probably, just where he was lagging out, and then he finally did lag out. It just was unfortunately too late to save Cody Reed. It was already, the contact had been made. So this is wild. And you're seeing Larry Yingling, he's not doing the Ryan Bird and pull it over. I think he's trying to keep that 15 between him and the 49.
Absolutely not. I mean, we've seen these guys go back and forth in so many different leagues. These two are challenging for the history books on Wednesday night on who's going to have the championship. Vincent Sora trying to find a way to hoist his 3rd WSSR Cup Series championship to tie with Larry Yingling. Yingling's hoping to stuff that, to continue to be the most championships earned in that series. So they've had their back and forth, but Yingling's got to be careful due to the fact that Vincent Sora is so much faster But I understand for Yingling, he doesn't want to just give up this spot, because if he does give it up, that puts Bird right back on his back bumper.
Exactly, yeah. If you roll over, Bird is there to maybe take a shot. And I think Vincent will understand that they're battling, so he's going to understand that he needs to get fully probably up to the inside and alongside the 67 to have any chance, unless he's just super close here down in the 1. I don't think you'll see the 15 throwing it up the inside because just how big a gap he has.
Still going back and forth between the battles as Cedric Hunter is trying to close in on the gap on Cody Reed. The wounded 88 is trying his best. It's going to be 2 laps, about a lap to go, and he'll try to make it to the end of this run. Ben Keeney officially out of this race, and Joshua Kanata sits in pit road trying to get his repairs done. As you watch our leader, Vincent Sora, just pushing that 67 across the line. White flag in hand. It's your Morecast. 1 more lap to go here tonight as the Morecast white flag is out. Yingling is good to go another lap, but will he want to stay in front of the 15? That's going to be the true test. Do you want to have 7 drivers on the lead lap or 8? As Sora, he's got a 36-second gap over Jared Talmadge in second. There's really no worry as he backs off from Yingling. Just going to let Yingling run his pace. And Zach, I mean, what a run by Vincent Sora. This is what we expected. Maybe we're hoping for a little bit of a better duel for that lead position, but ultimately we're right where we thought we were going to be at the end of this race.
That we are. And I tell you what, the thing is, if Yingling stays ahead of Sora, he has a last lap where he doesn't have to worry about Bird, because Bird's race will finish if he finishes here behind the 15. This will be the last lap for Bird, where Yingling will have the ability to run another lap here and maybe catch Hunter and Reed up ahead, who are getting close, I think.
Trying to fight back and forth. The gap slowly dwindling away. But for Vincent Sora, just a few more corners to go through 9. Going up to the exit of turn 10 after the plaza is over to the McDonald's straightaway. Into turn number 11, hard braking zone. The gap up to 35 seconds. Sora will let them race on. He'll get out of the way of Bird and say, hey, Yingling, your race isn't over just yet. But for Vincent Sora, he looks up to the flag stand. It's been like this all season long. Give him number 4 of the season, 4 out of 6. Vincent Sora's been in victory lane here in the Trinity Racing League.
What a dominant performance. I mean, Jarrett is still in the roundabout going around there, so we haven't seen him get to the penultimate corner. I mean, you saw what a gesture too from Vincent Sora. He pulls left, lets Bird go so he can have a battle with Larry Yingling. So he's like, you know what? He's thinking everything while racing.
Give him a chance. Give him a small glimpse. It's not a lot, but it's a small one. As we're right on board with Cedric Hunter. Reason why this is the closest for a battle. As Jared Talmadge crosses the line. You didn't see Vinny at all there late. And jokingly said, did I win? What a time for these drivers. I think for some are just happy it's over. But for Cedric Hunter, the gap is still 1.6. Cody Reed's been able to settle back in. He's been faster than the 13. Obviously, the frustration of what could have been maybe a top 5 finish for the 88 is now just for 6th. Hunter, though, a chance to close in the gap as Cody Reed has more trouble ahead of him. It's the lap car of Gomillion. The 94 will continue to ride in line. It's not going to be a big loss of time for Reed. But what a evening of racing we got to see here tonight. It's Sora, Talmadge, Green, your top 3. As the rest of the field slowly trying to finish out their time. Cody Reed does get a good exit out of the corner. He'll hold for 6th. Hunter will take 7th. Yingling and Bird, they will cross the line. It will be Yingling taking 8th. Bird will take 9th. And Zach, what a race. And it's Vincent Sora, 4 out of 6.
What a job by him, man. I mean, he's doing Connor Zilic things, I guess. You know, literally just winning at endless ability. So this is, I think, only the beginning for him this season, man. He's shown that this Xfinity car is really suiting him, and you can see him right now. He's just drifting in like some SVG stuff around here. This guy is on fire tonight.
Certainly is. And for us, we will step away. When we come back, we've got some great conversations to have with our top 3. What was it like to be back out there on your own for Vincent Sora? What was the duel like between former teammates? We'll find out when we come back for the post-race show. We'll talk to Vincent Sora, Jared Talmadge, and Thomas Green to get their thoughts on this evening. We'll be back right after this. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the post-race show of the Trinity Racing League presented by Larry Arts Production. Finished up race number 6 of the season. Tonight's race was your Larry Arts Production Chicago Grand Prix. And we head to Victory Lane to talk to the driver that, looking at the stats here tonight, we thought maybe there was a chance of someone else trying to steal the show, but we knew just underneath all of that Vincent Sora was the favorite, and he did not disappoint. Takes the pole, finds himself being the fastest during practice, and takes the win in a dominant fashion as well. Vinny, congratulations on the win. I mean, chat's even calling you Vincent Zelich at this point. How are you feeling with winning by over 35 seconds here tonight?
Yeah, I mean, I feel awesome right now. I love winning, and that's what I'm here to do every week in every league. And I'm a super competitive person, and when I come away with anything other than a win, I'm just totally disappointed. So tonight was a lot of fun. It was a really difficult track to navigate around, especially to make lap time in. I didn't really run too many laps before tonight. I think I maybe did like 3 or 4. And coming in, I knew Gavin was going to be really fast. I didn't know how he was going to be on the long run. I knew he was really good over in the next gen at making the lap time and over here tonight. But I figured if I could just kind of keep him trapped and manage my stuff, that he would eventually lose the rears, and he did just that. And I think eventually he just kind of overstepped one of the boundaries and might have hurt his car. But yeah, no, tonight was just keeping the car clean for me. I knew after I lost Gavin that I just needed to keep it out of these walls, which is really difficult to do. And I got him a couple times, but just another night of perfect execution and another win.
That it was another win, Vinny. I mean, this was a wild race to watch from start to finish. We saw tons of tire fall. I mean, upwards of 5 seconds from some people out there, but nobody managed it better than you. Take us through that, because it's a little bit different than what we've seen here in some of these previous road course races. This Xfinity car shows a lot of wear.
Yeah, it's awesome. That's, I think, where I do the best in these big, heavy stock cars. I found success in the next gen, and you can relate to this too as a guy who's done good in the next gen, but I think maybe preferred something a little bit more challenging to drive. These things just burn so much rear tire, and it's so difficult to manage and to do properly and to still get the lap time out of it. But that's what road courses should be, in these big, heavy stock cars. It's a lot of short shifting, a lot of wheel hopping. That's something I haven't felt in so long. Even over in the trucks, it's just not super severe compared to something like this. It was just awesome, trying to keep the rears on it, trying to manage not chattering the rear tires down into a braking zone. It's, everything that a stock car on a road course should be.
I mean, Vinny, we saw there late, you were trying to find a way to get by Ryan Bird and Larry Yingling. Ultimately, you backed off, let them race on. What was it like in those final laps, trying to mentally figure out what you wanted to do with those lap cars ahead of you?
Yeah, I saw that they were battling, and I had caught them pretty quick. I didn't want to mess up their battle, and unfortunately, I think I kind of did. Bird let me by, and then Larry just did a super good job defending, like he always does. And I was having a little bit of fun with him there. And coming to take the checkered flag, I want to let Bird by and give him at least a shot. So, sorry if I messed up that battle, but it was kind of a fun one to be a part of there for those last few laps.
Well, Vinny, it was awesome to watch your dominance here tonight. This is your 4th win out of 6 races this season. Congratulations on that incredible feat as well. Before we let you go, the floor is now yours for any other shout-outs.
Yeah, definitely just, everybody over here showed up. I know we had a lot of provisionals and a lot of guys that couldn't make it tonight, but we still had a really good car count, so that's awesome to see. Shout out to my teammates. Tom, it was just Tom tonight, but Jarrett was in the VC, so locked out the podium. It's nice to see Tom get a good run like he's deserved. Shout out to you guys for broadcasting, and then shout out to Danny. This was a beautiful paint scheme that he whipped up, as always. So I told him I was going to go put it in victory lane for him just because it looks so good, and I did just that. So I'm excited to have him back next week, and
We're excited for next week as well. Well, that'll be your victor here tonight for the Larry Arts Production Chicago Grand Prix. It's Vincent Sora in the number 15. Vinny, enjoy this one, and good luck next week at Nashville Superspeedway.
Thanks, guys. Have a good one.
You too. As we move from victory lane, we go down to second place. He was out there for quite a while. It took him a bit after Vinny crossed the line before he did. But we've got second place of Jarrett Talmadge with us. Jarrett, I mean, you had a fantastic strategy watching you run all throughout this night, kept yourself out of trouble as much as you could. You had the freshest tires there late. How does it feel coming away second at the end of this thing?
Feels pretty good just to kind of survive it and actually finish. That was a lot of fun. Probably the most fun I've had on a road course in any league, let alone on iRacing. I just hustling the car around there was amazing.
I mean, it was amazing to watch too, Jared. It kind of took me back into like a time machine for a little bit, watching some of the fall off we saw tonight on a road course. I mean, take us through that, because the management of the rear tires, I think, was everything for everybody out there.
Yeah, I think you saw with a lot of people there early, if you like pushed really early in the run, you'd really kill your tires. And then if you didn't back off for your 3 or 4 laps and cool them down, you would never get them back. And I kind of did that at the first run. I killed my stuff. Tom kind of pulled away. I cooled him down, caught him back. And it was kind of right there. Then I realized I just really wanted to run long because there was a lot of tire wear. And I wanted the better tires for the entire second half of the event. And ran long. Kind of realized I had to pit, or else Campbell would have come out in front of me, and he had pitted a while ago, and I didn't really want to have to try and pass anybody else that was even on a set of tires. So it kind of worked out, and then I didn't expect the advantage of running 4 laps to be as big as it was, tracking Tom down there, but it was like second a lap, so it kind of helped out. And then I, of course, panic caked the McDonald's wall and got left wheel damage, but was still good enough to bring home. But yeah, it was really nice seeing tire fall off, because usually in the next gen you just don't pit at all, and so those road courses are pretty boring and bland. But Xfinity car surprised me, and it was really fun.
I mean, Jared, this has been a wild season, getting to see the tire wear at all courses we go to, and we've got a cluster of tracks that we're heading towards. We're expecting tire wear to be a factor as well. We've got 2 concrete courses with Nashville Super Speedway next week, and then in 3 weeks we're heading to Dover. That's taking over for Martinsville. How are you feeling about those tracks in the fact that we've got more tire wear to worry about with these upcoming courses?
I mean, having tire wear is always a great thing, right? It provides good racing, pit stop strategy. It provides the whole 9 yards. So I mean, I'm pretty excited. I don't know how the Xfinity car really races at any of those tracks, so I guess we'll see. But as long as it's going to keep having great tire wear, I think keep putting on great races, and everybody will just have a good time all around.
Well, we can't wait to see how you perform out there, Jared. Congratulations on second here tonight. And before we let you go, the floor is now yours for any other shout outs.
Yeah, shout out to you guys for putting on the broadcast. Shout out to Gridless Graphics for the paint. And shout out to everybody who runs the league.
That will be the 27 of Jarrett Talmadge coming away second here at the Larry Arts Production Chicago Grand Prix. Congratulations on this finish, Jarrett, and good luck next week at Nashville Super Speedway.
Thank you.
As we move from second place, we go down to third to talk to the 3 machine of Thomas Green. Thomas, you had your own ups and downs here tonight. Early going, you were showing some great pace, but there late it started to fall away. How are you feeling, though, coming away third here this evening?
Yeah, definitely. It was just a bunch of fun. I mean, that track was awesome. It definitely feel good to finally get something better than 10th. I feel like we've had like the worst season so far as luck goes, and just getting involved in a bunch of accidents and everything wrong that could happen pretty much happened to us. But happy that we could come home, finally get to talk to you guys. I haven't talked to you guys in a long time. So happy to be able to do that. Happy to have a good finish. That puts us way better in points than we were. Definitely just needed one breakthrough race to kind of carry momentum, and hopefully we can do that for the rest of the season and try to break into the playoffs and go run for a championship, hopefully.
Yeah, Thomas, I'll tell you what, man, great to see you up here in the top 3. Definitely would have expected to see you up here before, but just like you said, I mean, the luck has been definitely on the very end of things for you there. But I think this is the perfect time to get yourself rolling in the right way. We got some really interesting tracks coming up with Nashville Super Speedway next. How are you feeling with the next part of the schedule, especially with Martinsville getting removed, and I believe it's going to Dover. So,
yeah, definitely some interesting tracks coming up. I mean, I love Michigan, Chicagoland too. The season finale, regular season finale. That's one of my favorite tracks for sure. Definitely have that one circled. Nashville's fun. And Yeah, I mean, there's definitely good races coming up, but this was definitely a race that we just had to get a good finish in, and kind of kept that in mind the whole time. But made some mistakes regardless. I gave myself wheel damage probably 3 or 4 different times and just kind of wheeled it home. But yeah, definitely looking forward to some of the future races. Definitely some places that I can capitalize on, and definitely get some better finishes and hopefully wins then.
I know, Thomas, like you said, the luck really hasn't been there this season, but what do you feel like you've learned the most in these first 6 races of the season that you feel like is going to help you propel moving forward throughout this first season?
Definitely just take your time. I mean, there's been so many races where I've had to fix 8 minutes plus of damage and salvage and take my time. It definitely kind of broadened my perspective of, it could always be worse. And when I'm hating on myself for finishing 10th or 11th or 12th or whatever it is, it could always be way worse. And definitely had to learn to just kind of take myself out of the mental side of it and just keep focused on the task ahead. And that's to try to get wins and try to get every position that I can. But just bringing it home definitely was kind of hammered into my brain tonight. And my teammates were saying the same thing, just bring it home, just bring it home. So yeah, definitely happy to get a good finish. That'll get us good rolling for the rest of the season. And yeah, just take our time, and the results will come.
Well, congratulations on third here tonight, Thomas. And before we let you go, the floor is now yours for any other shout outs.
Just want to say shout out to my teammates there, especially Vinny for getting that win. I mean, he absolutely just smashed us tonight, so really proud of him. I want to say shout out to you guys for broadcasting, putting this all together. Love watching the races back. That'll definitely be a fun one to watch back. And big shout out to my girlfriend, Anna. Last but not least, I love you so much. Thank you for all the support.
Well, that'll be your third place finisher in the 3 machine of Thomas Green. Congratulations on your finish here tonight, Thomas, and good luck next week at Nashville Superspeedway.
Thank you, guys.
As we move on from our interviews here tonight, it's certainly had its ups and downs as we take a look at our unofficial results this evening. One driver didn't change his spot because he was there all night long. He just didn't lead maybe 2 laps, if that. And that was Vincent Sora. Took the lead, kept it. Only time he wasn't leading is when he had to go into pit road, and Jared Talmadge stayed an extra lap. Make sure he got that bonus point, but it was the 15, 27, and then Thomas Green in the 3, your top 3. Justin T. Campbell, even with throwing himself into the outside wall with 5 to go, had a big enough gap to stay ahead of the 1 machine of Joshua Stovall, who takes 5th place. 6th was Cody Reed after the internet issues between Reed and Joshua Kanata. They both have kind of squared that issue away due to it being an internet squabble. We hope that gets fixed moving forward. But Cedric Connerhill takes 7th, Larry Yingling 8th, 9th goes to Ryan Bird. Luckily they were able to race it out to the end as Vincent Sora gave those positions back and let them have a great duel to finish out this race. But 10th was Aaron Kralik, who was the first driver 1 lap down, and Zach, you look through the rest of the field, it was just pure survival and some of the best finishes drivers could have asked for.
For sure. I mean, look at Maurice Gomin in 12th, Mark Labertone here in 14th. Even a great rebound from Michael Miller, who was spun around at one point there. And so that was wild. We saw the Kanata incident. He's going to finish back here 16th with all that said and done. Ben Kinney actually will come home 17th, 13 laps down. So it just shows you how far it started up as Gavin Rogers back in 19th, probably the most notable. He run in second for majority of the race, just didn't have the rear tires there. Then Fonseca fell victim to damage. Same for Christopher Norris and multiple others. Jackson Anderson spun a couple times back here in 23rd. It was just the who's who of who got caught up in something. As it was a tough night around this tricky, really tight, narrow street course.
It was a tough one, but it doesn't get very much easier as next week we'll be seeing these drivers try to tackle Nashville Super Speedway. But before we get to that, we've got more great racing action as we find ourselves Wednesday night. WSSR, we've seen those VRS Cup Series drivers head to Auto Club. Now that's a track that's going to have a little bit more space to work with, and I think a lot of drivers are excited to see how do you get prepared for the last race of the round of 8. Who's making it to the championship round after this upcoming Wednesday? Just 2 races left. Don't want to miss out on Wednesday night with the WSSR VRS Cup Series, as we are almost there. But for tonight, it certainly was a blast to give you the call. Again, want to say thank you to the major sponsors of the Trinity Racing League, that being Larry Arts Production for being the title sponsor, our Pole Sitter Award winner being the Blazing Fast TV Pole Sitter Award, our Orchid Inc. Tattoo Studios grid sponsor, SG_Racing halfway bonus sponsor, Hot Lap Designs fastest lap sponsor, of course our white flag sponsor being Morecast, and our lucky dog waving driver being the Lucky Cod. Thank you to all the amazing sponsors. And Zach, any final thoughts before we call it an evening?
Well, it was an interesting night of some old school, I'd say, road course racing from iRacing. Tons of tire fall, tons of mistakes that led to a pretty tricky finish, but dominating performance of Vince Sword. First and foremost, that guy was just on a rail. So congrats to him, and I can't wait to see what we got the rest of this regular season. It is getting really down to the time where drivers got to put it in a right direction, or they're going to quickly be thinking themselves out here soon for that chase. So it's getting to the point of the season, Sam, where you got to be perfect.
You really do. We only have just a handful of races left, and it's all down to who can hit their marks at the right moment, the right win, the right points. It all is going to come down to these final races, and we are going to be back to it next week at Nashville. But for tonight, we want to say thank you for joining with us. For myself, Sam Dyer, for Zach Hall, for Robert Moyer Jr., and everyone else that helps out here at Freaky Fast Broadcasting, thank you so much for spending your Monday night with us. And if you're rewatching this, thank you so much for all the views that we get for those trying to support the Trinity Racing League here on Monday nights. We can't wait for next week. The drivers head to Nashville Super Speedway. How does the concrete affect these tires? Is the cheese grater back, or will Miles the Monster take other approaches to take out the drivers? We'll have to find out next Monday. But for us, we've got ourselves a championship 4 to solidify. You don't want to miss it. We head to a track that now no longer exists in real life. It's only in the virtual. We head to Auto Club to find out who moves on to the final 4 for a chance to race for a championship. You don't want to miss it. We will see you Wednesday night for the WSSR VRS Cup Series. I cannot wait for it. Who's in, who's out? We'll find out on our next Freaky Fast broadcast.